Hi everyone, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Really sorry for the delay. As we posted in our stories, we had a lot of noise in the background. I didn't want to have to come back on, interrupt the live. So first of all, I'll introduce myself. My name is Edie and Amy. I'm the founder of Edie and Amy. I'm a doctor. So basically, Edie and Amy focuses on providing support for moms after they've had their babies, support them through the physical challenges of recovering from childbirth, and also we try and help with providing the right information for health. So this is stuff like recovery from vaginal birth, help with breastfeeding and all that. So Aisha, so please can you tell me what part of town are you reaching us from? Where exactly in the world are you reaching us from? If you can hear me, can you wave please? Okay, all right. I don't think Aisha can hear me. Okay, so we'll just get to it. Hello, Womex. So we'll get to it. So we're discussing recovery from childbirth. I'll just type that. Hi. So we're discussing recovery from childbirth, from vaginal birth. We'll take cesarean section recovery in another live. Just type that down. From vaginal birth. Okay, and then I'll pin that comment. Let's see. Pin. Okay, so we're discussing recovery from childbirth today. My name is Ijoma Idarisit. I'm a doctor, and I'm the founder of Edie and Amy. So, I'm just going to get right to it. First of all, I think I'll go to the feedback that we got from moms in our story. So, I asked for moms to use a word to describe, use a word to describe what the life after delivery was like, the first few weeks after delivery was like for them. And mom said, one mom said ice pack, another mom said discomfort, and another mom said train wreck. Another mom said train wreck. That is what it was like for them after delivery. If you can just drop. If you've had your baby already, if you can just drop one word that describes this period, if you're still within the first 6 weeks after delivery. Okay, anyway, so we'll just go straight to the tips. First of all, I think preparing for vaginal delivery or delivery in general, I think one of the important things to do from the start really is to choose your hospital or your provider very carefully, because that's going to go a long way determining how your delivery is managed, Hi, mom confessions. Determining how your delivery is going to be managed. I mean, you have to be in competent hands. You have to know, you have to be sure that this is a place where if you came in at night during an emergent, I mean at night obviously, when usually just generally places are less staffed, that they're going to be competent hands there to handle your delivery. Why am I saying this? Because there are a lot of things that can affect your your recovery from delivery that depend on how you were managed, how the labor was managed, how your baby was delivered, and all that. How if you had an episiotomy, if you had a tear. Episiotomy is a cut that is made in the vagina. Usually it's not supposed to be routine, but if there's any challenge in terms of delivering the third stage of labor, where the baby is supposed to be delivered, if there's anything that's making it prolonged, or if you've had to use forceps or vacuum, usually that's when an episiotomy is indicated. How that's done, how that's repaired, and all that, that's very, very important. Also, another thing that we tend to forget, which is also very important, is things that you do yourself before delivery, in the sense that there's some people that the beginning of the whole process of going into labor for them does not start with contraction. Sometimes they actually rupture their membranes, which is the sac that the baby is housed in and protected in while the baby is still in your womb. So I mean, for someone like me, my membrane is ruptured first. So they tell you, when they rupture, call your doctor and everything. Your membrane should not have ruptured for like 24 hours, without you delivering the baby. It increases the chance, because this is something that it also protects your womb as well. So the longer it stays exposed to the exterior, the higher the chances of of your womb developing an infection. So if you I'm going to put two scenarios. First of all, the membranes being ruptured, and maybe you don't start contracting, or I mean, I've worked in places where we've had people who went to traditional birth attendants, and their membranes ruptured. The labor took a very long time because there was something wrong, like there was some mismatch between the baby. Yes, that's water breaking. Yes, the baby and the mom's pelvis. So the labor was what in medical terms we call obstructed and prolonged. So because it was taking longer than it should have, this lady actually ended up developing an infection. We had to do some maneuvers for the baby to come out. She didn't have to do a cesarean section, but she did develop. No, wait. The baby was too big, so we did a cesarean section. But she developed an infection, a womb infection later, because she had been in labor for several days. In fact, this fluid, this water breaking, the water is actually initially clear, and then if the baby is in distress, the baby can pull into it, and then it changes to green. But hers was like, really, it was really bad. It was really bad. So those are the things that can lead to infections later. Prolonged rupture of membrane, also prolonged labor. So someone who's had to be in labor for maybe 6 hours, right, which is within normal limits, yeah. How will I put this now? Someone who's had an obstructed, the longer it takes for you to have that baby delivered into the world, and everything running smoothly, the higher your chances of developing an infection. So there's a wide berth, there's a normal limit for how long your labor should take. So if for any reason your labor takes longer than it should, it's obstructed, the baby is stuck or anything like that, these are the things that can lead to infections later. And then infections can now make the healing process, or your body coming back into itself, more complicated. So those are the things that are very important, before your baby is actually born, and all that. And then I've been in a situation where I was on call, and there was a lady who had a previous cesarean section, and she had been advised to have another cesarean section because her baby was big, estimated on the scan to be big. I think the estimated weight of the baby was about 5 kilograms. Hi, Christina Chuku. I mean, she's tall and all that, but for someone who's had a cesarean section, it is not it's not advisable to try and put the amount of pressure on the uterus that on the womb, as the womb is pushing, because the womb can rupture because it's been cut into before. And she didn't want to have a cesarean section. She was booked in for a cesarean section and she didn't show up. And then unfortunately or fortunately for me, I was the one on call, and then she had allowed herself to go into labor. And because I know some people do that, because she allowed herself to go into labor, hoping that maybe when she's in labor, if by the time she gets to us, the labor is already fully advanced, then we will not have any choice but to deliver her vaginally. I would blame us and then blame her at the same time. Blame her because okay, maybe she didn't really understand the implications of it, but then I think also the onus is on us to put the fear of God in her. Anyway, the long and short of the story is she came in, the baby was already within the vaginal canal, and we rushed her into the labor room. Honestly speaking, I have never been as scared as that. I still remember, I've never been as scared as that in my life, because once she got once we got her into the labor room, the baby's head was coming out, and this baby was huge. This baby was I've never been so when you're so freaked out that you break into a sweat. It was so funny. I mean, not funny at the time, but funny later. But the baby was quite big, and she was very lucky. And because of that, she was lucky in the sense that the baby actually came out, and wasn't. And the baby was a little bit in distress and all that, but the baby did well. Yeah, that baby was 5 or 5 point something kilos, and all that. The unfortunate thing that happened was because of the size of the baby. Thank God her womb didn't rupture. Because of the size of the baby, and because her labor wasn't because obviously most of labor had gone on before she got into the hospital and all that. She had third-degree tears. I'll explain what that means. She tore her cervix, and as a result of that, she bled heavily, and also repairing the damage that had been done was quite extensive. We actually had to this was years ago. We actually had to call our consultant in. We had to take her into theater and everything, to repair the cervix all the way inside. She tore it in 2 places, and all that. And the thing is that if you're not in a good hospital, they might just stitch you up on the outside, and you're still bleeding. Why is this one? Why are you bleeding and all that? But you're actually supposed to inspect everywhere thoroughly, because the cervix is not going to contract. At least your womb will contract, and then prevent any further bleeding from up there. And at least the vagina is closer to the exterior, so people can see what's going on that way. But the cervix, you may not know what's going on, so you actually have to inspect thoroughly and fully and all that. So anyway, thankfully baby was fine. She had really, 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 really bad tears, and there's no way. I think she did come down with an infection later, because I don't know how long she had been in labor. I can't remember how long she had been in labor before that, but she tore extensively. So I just wanted to lay that down there, because it's not really about what you do. There's stuff that you can do before to just make to ease things on your own part and on the part of the hospital. How do you determine that you're in a good hospital? Obviously, ask questions, ask moms at antenatal questions as well, ask the doctor questions, ask midwife questions, take a tour of the hospital, go with somebody, read up stuff online and all that. It is really, really important, and especially if you're in an antenatal class where there are people going to have their babies before you. It's nice to just find out what the experience was like and all that. If you're in a very good, if you're in a good, because the thing is that when you're in labor, you're like, that's, as far as I'm concerned, is the most vulnerable time in a woman's life. So because you're not really in control, it's the doctor and maybe your spouse or whoever it is who's your birth partner who can really speak for you, or check up, make sure everything is going right and all that. So yeah, that's very important. Anyway, getting to the crux of the matter. Okay, so after you've had your baby, once your baby is delivered, right, your placenta is delivered after a while, your womb contracts, you deliver, the midwife or the nurse, whoever to delivery, will inspect your placenta. Why they're inspecting is because your placenta was initially, let's say, stuck to the lining of your womb, and now they want to make sure that every single part of your placenta has come out, is intact. So under running water is supposed to inspect it and make sure that no bits of placenta are left behind. The reason why you need to make sure is because these are the things that will prevent your womb from contracting fully later. These are the things that can also make you to start bleeding after you've left the hospital. This is what they call postpartum hemorrhage. Yeah, that's the cause of postpartum hemorrhage. It can make you bleeding after you've left the hospital. These are the things that can stay in, because at that point your body is no longer being shielded from the baby, so your body is going to also think that bit of placenta is also a foreign body, so this can cause an infection and all that. So that is inspected. If you had a tear, now there are two things that can happen. Either you've had an episiotomy, or you've had a tear. An episiotomy, as I mentioned, is a cut. I have a few diagrams on Mayo Clinic. Let me see. An episiotomy is a cut that is made that is made just at the entrance of the vagina. Usually, if that stage where the baby is coming out is taking longer than it should, much longer than it should, it's not supposed to be routine, but if that stage is taking much longer than it should, I hope you guys can see the diagram I put up there. So this is just a diagram of a normal exterior of a mom's what we would call a vulva. So you have the vaginal there, and then you have these muscles. Obviously you can't see them on the outside. These are the muscles that are just below the skin, and they're the muscles that support your vagina, support the pipe that leads urine out of your body, that's the urethra, and also support your anus. These are the things that prevent you from peeing yourself or pooing on yourself. Those are the perineal muscles, and then the anal sphincter. So the episiotomy cut is made, a small cut is made, just to help the baby come out. So it's not supposed to be done routinely. Initially, long time ago, they used to say, "Oh, do an episiotomy because that way, because you made the cut, is a clean cut and it's easier to repair." But studies have found that there's no real benefit to that. So sometimes they allow moms to tear, and tearing can go in different stages. I just want to take my time to go through this gradually so that we get an idea of what the healing process should be like. Okay, so this is the second one. This is what we call a first degree tear. And if you can see, like, you have the vagina opening there, you can see the only thing that tore is the skin of the vagina, which is just, if you there's an arrow pointing to the tear. There's just the skin of the vagina that tore, and sometimes this is repaired. Sometimes it can extend further up, and sometimes sometimes it's repaired. It depends on the person inspecting to see. Okay, I've had a patient before that it was just like a scratch. There was no point putting a stitch in there. It could be repaired, or it could be left to heal on its own. This takes a few weeks to heal, and all that could happen is that you might just have a bit of stinging. These are the things that would cause stinging when you pee, as a new mom after you've had vaginal delivery. Then we go to the second one. Okay, so this is a first degree tear. A second degree tear, this is a tear that would involve the skin of the vagina. We are looking at the vagina from the outside. If a mom was lying down and we're standing in front of her, vagina, that's the skin of the vagina was cut, and then the perineal muscle, which was the muscle that I showed you in the first picture. Where is that first picture now? Yeah, these are the support of that area. So it involves the skin and just that muscle. This is usually repaired. It takes a few weeks, and as we said, also can cause a bit of stinging when you pee, and it can also extend up. So after you've had your baby, inspect everything and then make sure all that is tidied up. So now we go to the second degree tear. Yes, a lot of stinging, man. As in, don't even. When I had my baby, I it's like, okay, you're trying to breastfeed, your boobs are hurt, your nip, you're struggling with latching, everyone was just paining me. Yeah, exactly. More confessions and Chuku Christina, like stinging. So this is like a third degree tear, and it involves the skin of the vagina, the perineal muscles which support the vagina and all that, and then there's a ring of muscle. Exactly. Okay, yeah. So Chuku Christina is saying she had a first degree tear and it healed within 1 week. Exactly. So it was just like it's minor. Yeah. So for the second degree, you have the skin of the vagina, the perineal muscle, and then you have the anal sphincter. So the anal sphincter is the muscle that external anal sphincter. There are two muscles that keep your poo in and prevent you from farting in public uncontrollably. There's one on the outside, and then there's another one further inside. So in a third degree tear, this in the process of having your baby, it means that the tear extended all the way down to that second layer of the external anal sphincter, and this may need to be repaired. We've had moms who've had that sort of tear, and then may need to repair they may have to take into the operating room, which is what happened with that lady that the story I told you about the mom who had the 5-point-something kilogram baby that was like really huge. Apart from the fact that we had to repair that external one, we also had to go in, and then sort her cervix out. Yeah, so this, it can be repaired, should be repaired carefully. So that as I said, I think I remember on Mom Confessions page, there was a lady who had I think she had a tear or something, and she was complaining that she was not happy with the way it was healing. Like, I think it got infected and all that. And the thing in medicine, usually once a wound gets infected, if it's a wound that has been closed up, we need to let it drain. So sometimes you end up loosening the stitches so that all the pus and all that comes out, and then it heals by what they call secondary intention. It heals on its own, because if you close the wound up, it's going to break down. Like, it's going to open up again on its own, and it will not heal. So it has to be opened up and cleaned and all that. That's if the wound gets infected and all that. So this is something that, and this third degree tear we're talking about here, obviously past stinging, there'll be stinging, sex may be a bit painful. Also, for some people, they may leak stool. That's if it is not repaired. Yeah, they could leak stool, and then and sex could be painful. So these are the things that cause discomfort, after you've had your baby down there. These are things that can cause discomfort down there, make sitting down difficult and all that. Apart from, on a normal day, if we didn't have any tear, you still feel like you feel like there was an accident down there. You still be very sore and all, add to the soreness and discomfort. And then the final one, which is the fifth picture, that's the 4th degree tear, and it involves the skin of the vagina, the perineal muscles, the external anal sphincter, and then it extends into the rectum. That's where your poo comes out from. So it breaks into the skin lining the inside of your anus, and that obviously also needs to be repaired. That also will be with feces and all that. That also needs to be repaired in the theater. All these things can be repaired, but just so that and it's also important that someone who is very competent is dealing with it. You can't the muscles can be repaired, but obviously after that, we need to do things like Kegels, exercises and all that to make sure that everything, like you gain the strength back in those muscles. Okay, so I've explained all that, which is very, very important, very, very, very crucial. So let's get back to my face. Yeah, okay, so that's tears. So we've been discharged from the hospital. Usually in your hospital, they should tell you how to care for the wound and all that. Ideally, you're going to bleed a bit, and that's what they call the lochia. It's actually a mixture of blood and the lining of your womb and parts of the lining of your vagina. So all these things are being shed off, yeah, after you've had your baby, and that's what makes up the lochia. So the lochia is a mix of blood and cells and skin and all that. So in the first few weeks, it usually lasts for about 5 to 6 weeks. It depends. Some people's lochia stopped at 3 weeks. Some people's lochia stopped at 3 weeks. It initially be very heavy, and then it sort of tapers down. Initially is red, then becomes brown and becomes yellow, becomes clear, like a clear discharge, as your body is and your womb is shrinking back and your body is trying to get back to what's supposed to be. So it is normal. But the thing about lochia is we need to be very observant. Okay, there's a reason why the pads that you use after delivery are so thick, because obviously the amount of blood loss is going to be a lot. And also in the hospital, we have an idea of how much blood each of those pads can take. Is about 80 mils when it's fully soaked. So those pads are a monitor. In fact, they help to keep you nice and clean and dry, but then they're also a monitor, because as I said, if you have a tear in your cervix, there's no way of knowing, yeah, for example. Or if now maybe your womb for some reason has now stopped contracting after delivery the way it should to go back to normal. These are the things that can cause increased blood loss. If you now find yourself changing your pad, a pad is getting full within an hour, that's a bad sign. That means that you're bleeding heavily. Yeah. If you start feeling dizzy, that's a bad sign. That means that you may be bleeding heavily. This is hoping you are taking enough water. Yeah. So for lochia, we're expecting you can have clots in it, but the clot should not be the size of an egg. You can have clots, like bits of clots mixed with your lochia, because it's like a heavy bleed, but it shouldn't be. Be worried, speak to your doctor, speak to your midwife if you see anything that's the size of an egg, or what they would call a ping pong ball. Be worried about bleeding. If you're having to change your pads are soaked within an hour. You've been changing, you have to change the pad every hour, it means you're bleeding heavily. Be worried if this lochia starts to have a bad smell. It's not supposed to have a bad smell. The bad smell is a sign that there may be an infection either down below in the vagina or up in your womb. Yeah. What else about lochia? And another thing, obviously, you shouldn't have fever after you've had your baby. Now there's something I don't know. I just like to find out. My friend and I had a conversation before I had baby, but for some reason I don't know, I forgot what she said. How many, for those of us who breastfed here, how many people experience some sort of sweats or like chills or fever when they are out for the first time, when they had that let down? Can I see by a show of hands? Can I see by show of hands how many people had some sort of chills or fever after when their milk started coming out? Okay. Anyway, no, not fever, like chills. So I had this feeling of like I broke out into a sweat, and I had like chills. Okay, Christina, I had like chills. I was freaked because I know that I had been stitched up and all that. Oh, it didn't happen to you, but you've heard it happens. Okay, it happens to some people. And for some reason, she said she told me, but I couldn't remember. You know, my mind was going far. I was like, hey, I've gone and gotten a return infection or something. Like, my mind was really going far. But the thing is that if you check your temperature will not be raised. So, what